Our properties have made millions of dollars, but we are quitting Airbnb. So watch this video to understand why we're quitting and what we're doing instead.
We are the Real Estate Robinsons. Hey everyone, if this is your first time here, I'm Sarah.
I'm Tony.
And we're real estate investors who quit our day jobs by investing in short-term rentals. And we're here to show you how you can do the same.
Now look guys, we love Airbnb obviously, right? Putting our properties on that platform literally changed our lives. Whoa. And it allowed us to quit our day jobs, become entrepreneurs, and work for ourselves and make a pretty decent living doing it.
Yeah.
But we are also absolutely terrified because our business right now is totally reliant on Airbnb.
1000%. Right now, 100% of the bookings for our short-term rentals come from either Airbnb or Vrbo. And we just keep thinking to ourselves, like, what happens if something goes wrong with Airbnb or Vrbo? What happens if we piss them off and they delete our account? What happens if they change their algorithm like they did over the summer and our listings are negatively impacted? You just never know.
Yeah, or what if Airbnb decides to increase their fees? The list of what ifs goes on, and literally everything on that list ends pretty badly for us.
Totally. So now our goal is to end our reliance on Airbnb and start working towards getting guests to book with us directly versus using Airbnb. So we're not quitting Airbnb today, but we are setting our business up so that instead of it representing 100% of our bookings, it represents like 25% of our bookings, or hopefully even less. So it's kind of like slowly quitting over time.
So let's get into, again, why we're doing this and how we plan to make that happen. The big reason why we're making this shift is because we truly want to build a business and not just be Airbnb hosts.
Think about it for a second. Is there any other business you can start where all you have to do is take pictures of your product, upload them to one website, never have to market it, and then have enough business to build a profitable business? Probably not, right?
Yeah, but yet investor after investor puts all of their faith into Airbnb as a platform. Yeah. And honestly, that's, what we're realizing now is a pretty dangerous route to go down. When you think about like the biggest companies in the world, or honestly, even like the small businesses in your own neighborhood, they all spend a decent amount of money on marketing. And that's an every single month kind of thing.
Right. They spend money on ads, they spend money on salespeople, they spend money on marketing material, they send emails and text messages, they run promotions, and generally do everything they can to drum up interest in their product or service. But not us as Airbnb hosts, which is crazy. We just throw our listings up on the website, kick back, and wait for the bookings to come in on their own.
Which means we don't really have a business, or at least not a business that we have full control over.
Yeah.
Our buddy Mark Simpson says that we're building our home on borrowed land. And honestly, it's the truth.
Hey, Mark.
The other question we have to ask ourselves is, what's to stop Airbnb from kind of getting greedy and taking more? So right now, Airbnb charges us hosts 3%, meaning they take 3% of our payouts that we would get from the guests. They also charge the guests anywhere from 12% to 20% on top of what the guest is paying for the bookings. So that means right now, Airbnb's fees are at least 15% on top of that booking amount.
That's crazy.
It's real.
Yeah, but what's to stop them, let's say, from going from 15% to 20%, or from 15 to 50% even? And I get this might sound a little bit crazy, but we've seen similar things with other businesses that are essentially marketplaces just like Airbnb.
Now, Uber's a great example of a company that charges kind of hefty fees. Now, first, Uber doesn't even make it super clear before you sign up to be a driver to let you know how much they actually charge drivers in fees. So we went to the main landing page on Uber's website where you go to like sign up to be a driver, and nowhere on that page does it say how much of a cut Uber takes from your earnings. But we found a page that was kind of buried on the website and eventually found a little line that says Uber charges partners a 25% fee on all fares.
But we did some more digging and we found a study completed by Jalopnik where they analyzed 14,756 rides taken on Uber. And of those 14,000 rides, they compared the receipts, and that showed how much the passengers paid for that ride to the amount the driver was actually paid feed. And what they found was that Uber was taking an average of 35% of each ride, which is 10% higher than the 25% fee that's advertised on their website.
So Uber is promoting one fee to the drivers when they sign up, but then charging those drivers something different.
Like, is that allowed?
Uber kind of responded to this article and said that there's a lot of factors that go into what they charge a host, but essentially either way, 25%, 35%, that's kind of a hefty fee, especially on an Uber ride.
Amazon is another great example, right? If you decide to sell your product on Amazon, you'll have to pay $40 a month for their selling plan. Then you'll have to pay a referral fee for each product that you sell. And that fee is between 8 and 15%.
And if you decide to have Amazon ship your products for you, which currently over 90% of sellers choose to do, then you'll have to pay a fulfillment fee for each product, and you'll have to pay a storage fee for them holding those products in their warehouse.
That's why they're making bank.
Yeah, so when you add up all those fees, Amazon can take up to as much as 45% of your revenue for physical products, and fees can actually be higher for digital products. I've heard anywhere between 60 and 70% if you're selling ebooks.
Even the Apple App Store charges fees. If you offer any type of in-app purchases where the payments are processed through Apple, Apple takes anywhere from 15 to 30% of the revenue.
Yeah, so like if you go into like your Apple ID and you go to subscriptions, anything that's listed there under your Apple ID as a subscription, Apple's taking up to 30% of that revenue from those companies. So it really all comes down to leverage, or probably better said, the lack of leverage, right? The drivers don't have leverage over Uber because the drivers will probably have a hard time finding enough customers to hire them as drivers. The sellers on Amazon don't have leverage over Amazon because the sellers don't have the infrastructure to find the customers, store those products, and ship those products as fast as Amazon does. But even the developers creating apps for the App Store don't have leverage over Apple because the developers don't have any other way of getting their apps onto the hundreds of millions of iPhones that are being used every day.
But as someone who invests in short-term rentals, you actually do have some leverage. You actually do have the ability to get your homes directly in front of the people who may want to book them. So our situation as hosts is different than all of these examples we just gave. There are plenty of short-term rental owners who get the majority of their bookings by cutting out the middleman, aka Airbnb and Vrbo, and going directly to the customer.
And that's how we want to position our business moving forward. We want to have full control over our listing and not be tied to what Airbnb feels we should or shouldn't do with our listings.
But before we get into that, we've also got an event coming up that we are so excited about. It's a 3-day in-person event focused all on teaching you how to buy, manage, and scale your short-term rental portfolio. We'll walk you through all the steps you'll need to focus on how to get started, and we have so many good speakers lined up to bring you even more value. The event is in Orlando, Florida on January 20th through the 22nd, that's Friday through Saturday. If you want to learn more, head over to strsummit.com. We've got early bird tickets on sale now, but prices will go up, so lock yours in before the price increases.
Yeah, and I know we're talking about how we're quitting Airbnb, but obviously it's still a platform I think all of you guys should be on. So if you want to sign up using the link in the description to become an Airbnb host, you'll get a cash bonus for signing up, and we'll get a small cash bonus for referring you as well.
All right, so now that you understand why it's important for you to start quitting Airbnb, we want to share the steps that we're taking in our business to help make this happen.
So if you want to be able to cut Airbnb out and work directly with your guests, then you'll need some way of like communicating and contacting those guests. Now, the good news is if you're already on Airbnb or Vrbo, then you have tons of guests staying at your property already that you can start reaching out to. But the downside is when a guest books on Airbnb, one of the key pieces of information that you don't get is that person's email address.
And the reason for that is because Airbnb doesn't want hosts communicating directly with the guests. Because if that were to happen, then it means that the guest just might book directly with the host instead of paying that extra 20% service fee for booking with Airbnb. So the first thing that we're going to focus on is capturing the email addresses of our guests.
Now, Airbnb has put in like a bunch of rules around when you can and can't communicate with your guests outside of Airbnb. And Airbnb calls these the Airbnb off-platform policy. So I'm just gonna read off a few of the things that this policy states. So first it says, by hosting on Airbnb, you agree to abide by our terms and policies, including our terms of service, which we reserve the right to enforce at our sole discretion. In the event of repeated or severe violations, we may suspend or permanently deactivate a person's account.
That's dramatic. Basically, what this means is that if you do not follow their rules, Airbnb can permanently kick you off of their platform, which is obviously terrifying, right? So we plan to follow the rules to a T when we start collecting email addresses, just so we never have to even get close to that point. Here are some examples of how you should not try to get your guests' email addresses.
So first is contacting potential guests prior to booking on Airbnb to move the booking off platform. As an example, offering discounts to book off of Airbnb. Next is asking guests to fill out forms or call, email, or otherwise contact you via non-Airbnb communication service prior to accepting booking requests.
Canceling existing full or partial reservations and having guests rebook off of Airbnb. Asking or encouraging guests to book outside of Airbnb for repeat or future bookings.
Including links or embedding buttons like in the footers or headers that take people off of Airbnb to another website in any messages to guests, including emails sent via Airbnb email alias features. So anyway, after hearing that list, you might be thinking, well, how the hell am I supposed to actually get their email address if there's all these rules? Now, luckily, there are companies that allow you to collect your guest's email address without violating these policies, and they do it through the Wi-Fi connection. So basically, before someone can connect their phone, laptop, or other device to the internet at your property, they have to give you their email address to access the network.
And since pretty much everybody in the world will want to connect to the Wi-Fi when they get to your property, you'll be able to collect literally everyone's email address. Not even just the guests that booked, but everybody that's staying at your property.
And this is probably the easiest way to get started, and it'll almost guarantee that you'll get an email address for every guest that stays at your property.
After you've started collecting email addresses, you need to have somewhere those people can actually go so they can pay you to book a night at your properties. And that's where your direct booking website comes into play.
So think of your direct booking website as your own personal Airbnb, but instead of it being a marketplace for millions of listings like Airbnb is, it's a marketplace for your listings only. And there are no extra fees that either you or your guests have to pay. And you are ultimately in control of everything that happens with your listings on that website.
So you don't have to worry about getting your profile banned. You do not have to worry about fighting with other listings to get and stay on the first page. And you do not have to worry about anything except driving traffic to your website.
So we're in the process right now of building out our own direct booking website, and we're excited to roll this out to all of our guests next year. And now that you kind of understand what a direct booking website is and why it's so important, let's talk about what our plans are to actually drive traffic to our direct booking website. And in fact, we're going to cover 5 traffic sources that we plan to use.
The first traffic source is paid social media advertising. This means we'll be running ads on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and even Google searches. This is a great way to get consistent traffic to your direct booking website.
So our ads will probably show videos and photos of our properties, reviews of maybe what other guests have said who stayed at our properties, and really sell people on why they should book direct with us and save that little bit of extra money.
And the reason I love paid advertising is because it's scalable, right? Once we have the right marketing tools in place, we can scale our advertising up or down as needed. So if we know we're coming into a slow season, we can really start to ramp up our ads to fill up our calendars, so we're not waiting for a bunch of last minute bookings.
Now, the downside to advertising is that it can get kind of really expensive, right?
Yeah,
and unless you know what you're doing, you might not get a decent return. So if you're not familiar with advertising and you don't feel like you can figure it out on your own, then we recommend hiring a professional person or agency or whoever to do this for you.
The second traffic source is organic social media marketing. So our plan here is to build out an Instagram profile specifically for our properties and fill it with really captivating, beautiful content. So one listing that's done really well with this is the Joshua Tree house. I don't know if you guys have heard of them, but they have over 300,000 followers on Instagram. And on their profile, they link back to their own direct booking website, not their Airbnb profile. So they've done a phenomenal job at this.
Yeah, and on their profile, they provide a mix of content that highlights both the property, but also the city of Joshua Tree where the property is located in. So we plan to build something out that's pretty similar for our Instagram profile that highlights both our properties, but then all the cities that those properties are in as well.
We also plan to start a YouTube channel that focuses on the same thing, right? So where we create cool video content about the local markets that our properties are in. But one really big benefit of YouTube over other channels like Instagram or TikTok, let's say, is that YouTube is an actual search engine.
So what that means is that someone can go onto YouTube and search for the phrase like things to do in Joshua Tree, and then our videos will pop up. It's harder for people to search for phrases like that on Instagram, or it's not really the way that people consume content, but YouTube is great for that kind of thing. And obviously the plan is to link back to our direct booking website in every video that we post on that profile.
The third traffic source is influencer marketing. So influencer marketing is when you tap into other people's audience to help promote your own product. One of the companies that executed this strategy really well was Fashion Nova, who I worked for a very short time.
Like 3 weeks.
3 weeks. For those that don't know, Fashion Nova is an online fashion retailer that started back in 2006, but didn't really take off until around 2015.
Yeah, Fashion Nova's social profile, like their Instagram was growing at one point over 600% each year. Wow. And they really did it all with influencer marketing. And there's an article on Fashion Nova's use of influencer marketing, and it says, Fashion Nova started by using micro-influencers to fuel its rapid growth, which quickly became the most powerful marketing channel for the company. As Fashion Nova grew, so did its ambition for the influencer acquisitions as it transitioned from nano and micro-influencers into using popular celebrities who dominate social media. So again, our plan is to like basically replicate what Fashion Nova did, but apply it to travel influencers. And we're probably gonna shoot for people who have like at least 50,000 or maybe even smaller, I don't know, somewhere around there. People that have decent followings on Instagram, and offer them maybe a free night stay at one of our properties in exchange for them posting social content about our property and then tagging our own Instagram profile.
So like I said, I worked for Fashion Nova, and it was actually on their influencer marketing department team. Mm-hmm. And one thing we looked for, babe, I don't know if you know this, is the influencers needed to have like a minimum of 10,000 followers. Mm-hmm. So that's how micro they were. 10,000 isn't a huge following, but it is impactful enough,
And the goal here is that over time, people save our profile or bookmark our direct booking website, and then when the time comes for them to actually travel, they decide to go with us directly versus going to our Airbnb profile.
But before we keep moving, we'd really appreciate if you guys could give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, hit the bell for notifications. Every new subscriber really does mean a lot to us, and we have a goal of getting to 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you're enjoying the content, please subscribe, turn on your notifications, tell your homies.
And we've also got a totally free download for all of our subscribers. So if you head over to the realestaterobinsons.com/calculator, we've put together a free tool that helps you analyze properties that you're considering purchasing as a short-term rental. We also want to share with you guys that we've officially launched our coaching program. It's called Alpha Host Academy, and we're still kind of in the beta testing mode, but it's literally a lifetime membership for those who join during our beta launch. Plus you'll get a mix of both group coaching and one-on-one coaching and a bunch of on-demand content. And our goal is to help everyone who joins escape the rat race and replace their 9-to-5 income within at least 5 years. So if you're interested in booking a discovery call to learn more, head over to the realestaterobinsons.com/book a call.
All right, the fourth traffic source is to create a blog. Now, I know blogging seems kind of outdated and old school given the fact that so many people today are consuming their content on social media and video form, but writing blogs can still have a very positive impact on your ability to find new customers, and here's why.
So just like YouTube, blogs are searchable, right? So when someone types in the phrase things to do in Joshua Tree into Google, not only will your YouTube video show up, but so will the blog posts that you wrote, right? And as you write more and more blog posts, you start to show up for more and more terms and phrases that people are searching for. And eventually you start to get a steady flow of visitors to your website coming from all of these different kind of searches that are related to your market.
So we'll talk about things like the best sunrise hike in Joshua Tree, or the best sunset hike in Joshua Tree, And things like the best vegan restaurants in Joshua Tree, or the best steakhouse in Joshua Tree, and the lists can literally go on and on very easily.
And as more and more people stumble across our blog posts, we'll have more and more people we can point back to our direct booking website.
And the fifth and final traffic source we'll talk about are all of the tools you already have. First, we plan to brand our Airbnb profile. Say the name of your company is Dream Vacation Rentals. You can change the name of your Airbnb profile from your personal name to Dream Vacation Rentals. And then in your profile for Airbnb, you can say, my name is Tony and I am the CEO of Dream Vacation Rentals.
And now people who are looking at your properties might say, like, let me Google a little bit more about Dream Vacation Rentals.
Yeah, like, what the heck is that,
right. And then once they do that, they'll find your direct booking website, and there's a chance they might book on your website versus Airbnb when they see that they can get the exact same property on the exact same dates, but for 20% cheaper.
Yeah. Another great asset is your actual property. People often overlook just how easy it is to market to guests once they actually check into your property.
Now, we're not talking about shaking hands in person and asking your guests for their email address or telling them about your direct booking website. But what we mean is having some sort of mechanism at the property that introduces them to your direct booking website. So it could be something as simple as a QR code near the front door that says, hey, do you want to save 20% next time you travel? Scan this code to input your email address and receive instructions on how to book with us directly. Right? Saying something as simple as that could be an easy way to get an email address and then direct them back to your direct booking website.
You can also use your digital guidebook to link back to your direct booking website. This does not violate any of the Airbnb terms that we discussed earlier in the video because the policy says that you can't link to your own website in any messages to the guest, but your digital guidebook is very different.
Yeah, so your guidebook is a resource for your guests, and the policy doesn't state that we're unable to link to our website inside of our own guidebook. And the majority of your guests are going to open your guidebook to, just to get familiar with your property. So it's a really easy way for them to get back to your direct booking website.
There are probably tons of other resources you have where you can sprinkle in your direct booking website without violating any of the Airbnb terms of service. So think through it and get creative. The last thing we'll say here, and we really want you guys to understand this, everything we outlined requires a lot of patience to really see the results.
Yeah, like you can't start this on a Monday and expect to have a bunch of direct bookings on Tuesday. This is more like we're gonna build this out over the next year to 2 years kind of thing, right? But we wanna pour into all of these activities for a while before we really start to see any kind of consistent results, right? It's almost like planting a tree. And we know that the sooner we plant these seeds, the sooner that tree starts to grow. So even if you're on your very first property, everything we talked about still applies to you. So the sooner you start working on these things, the better.
And that's something, an advice we can give to you guys. We're at about 30 properties in, and that's something we really regret waiting on. So a piece of advice, like literally something we learned from our business is we wish we started this sooner. So don't be like Tony and Sarah, start on this even if you just have one property or even before you get that property,
If you know that you want to build a big business, like why wait?
Yeah, start that website, start the branding, start getting creative on different ways you can market, and start day one.
All right, guys, hey, if you can connect with us on Instagram, we would definitely appreciate that.
Yes.
I'm Tony J. Robinson. My lovely wife is at Sarah Rad. And if you're on TikTok, you can follow us there at The Real Estate Robinsons.
Yes. If you guys have any follow-up questions, please drop a comment below and we'll do our best to answer it. That's it for today, guys. I'm Sarah.
I'm Tony.
And we are The Real Estate Robinsons.